accomplishment.
For me, Ironman was one of those things that was so far in the distance, it's something I don't think I could ever do. So the journey has been incredible.
I trained with my father to do the St. George Ironman.
I do Ironman because I want to experience the journey and experience it with my wife.
I do Ironman because I like challenges.
I'm doing Ironman to honor my son.
I do Ironman to see how far I can push my body, and then some.
Since the first race in 1978, Ironman has become legendary. The desire to complete the 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike, and a marathon is simply astonishing. For the few that put themselves to the test, the reward is simply a title, Ironman. With several races around the world, each event offers its own unique challenge. Professionals will finish in just over 8 hours, with many taking the full 17 hours. All the same, it's a badge of honor and entry into an exclusive club.
St. George is my first Ironman.
I did my first triathlon in 1978.
I've done 114 marathons. St. George will be my first Ironman.
St. George will be my first Ironman.
I have finished 3 other Ironman.
This is my first Ironman.
I've never done an Ironman before.
St. George will be my third Ironman.
Fourth Ironman.
St. George is my first Ironman.
Finishing Ironman will be like a dream coming true.
An amazing moment in your life. Something that transcends just about anything, including words.
The inaugural Ford Ironman St. George starts at Sand Hollow Reservoir. It's the location for morning preparation, the swim and Transition 1. Sand Hollow is approximately 30 minutes ride from downtown St. George, and most athletes took an early morning shuffle. Most of the 2,100 age group athletes have had very little sleep. There's a lot to do the night before, and nerves are generally at an all-time high.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Australian Luke Bell is at the inaugural Ford Ironman St. George, Utah, to try for his first Ironman victory. Another Australian with high hopes is the winner of 2 Ironman North American races, Chris MacDonald. Estonian Kirill Kochegerov won Ironman Florida in November, and everybody will keep an eye on.
If you're winning, make sure you slow down a little on the run. Still win, but let us catch up to you so we can finish with a 5%, all right?
Canadian Heather Wurtell has won before and knows what it will take to do so again. The Kiwi Gina Crawford, a well-rounded athlete, is someone expected to do well on this challenging course, while another contender among the professional women's ranks is Australian Kate Major. As the sun creeps up over the red rocks of southern Utah, preparations near an end. The professionals feel will start their race at 6:45 and the amateurs 15 minutes later. The water temperature is 60 degrees in the reservoir and is a concern. The air temperature is 45 degrees Fahrenheit. It's essential to keep the muscles loose and body warm prior to the 2.4 mile swim. The one-loop swim is, in likely, one of the most attractive settings for the start of any Ironman. With the 58 professionals lined up and ready to go, the sun eases over the horizon and illuminates the beautiful backdrop. Once all the professionals are prepared to get their day started, the remaining 2,100 age groupers make their way down to the water's edge to catch a glimpse of what's to come. As the clock ticks away, most amateur athletes here today know that they are going to push themselves beyond their limits, testing the mind and the body on this new Ironman course. Each person doing it for his or her own reasons. The sense of anticipation rings out. The gun goes, they're off. The Australian Luke Bell has made a perfect start and has quickly moved into the lead. The age groupers are about to experience their new event from the inside as they prepare and work their way to the swim start. The 15-minute head start allows an equal playing field for the professional field. Only skill will determine who creates separation and gets an advantage. As the professional field spreads out, it's Luke Bell who is extending his lead. But it's an early lead and there's a long way to go. In the chasing group, forming behind Bell, is Chris MacDonald, Kirill Kotsagarov, and within that group are 2 professional women, Gina Crawford and Heather Whittle. But for now, it's Luke Bell carving a path for everyone else to follow. As Bell nears the swim turn, the age group athletes continue to filter into the chilly waters, readying for the start of their day. Top professionals figure to finish the swim in 50 minutes, but Luke Bell is pushing now to open a lead to carry on to the bike. The mass start of an Ironman is always impressive. The backdrop of Sand Hollow Reservoir adds to the view. The 2100 age group athletes are off and they begin their journey. As they fight for position, Luke Bell hits the first turn and heads into the sun. 2 more turns and it's on to transition 1 and the 112-mile bike course. We're back in southern Utah and the Ford Ironman St. George. The swim is nearing an end for the professionals. With the sun rising over the reservoir and illuminating the beautiful course, Luke Bell has extended his lead. It's now up to 150 meters, which translates to over a minute-and-a-half advantage for him at this point. He's out of the water in 49 minutes and 22 seconds. Just over 1 minute and 40 seconds behind, the chase group makes its way to the shore. In this group are Chris MacDonald, Kirill Kotsagarov, Matt Lieto and Ben Hoffman, all capable of taking home the title by the end of the day. Luke Bell has continued his quick and efficient race. From the swim exit to his bike, he used just 1 minute and 45 seconds. The fast transition means he is focused and well prepared. Next man to the bike racks is Chris MacDonald. He quickly gets in and out. Right behind MacDonald is Matt Lieto, Kirill Kotsagarov, Clemens Kuhnen and Ben Hoffman. The first woman to her bike is Heather Whittle. She was 1 second behind Gina Crawford out of the water but made up time in transition. But the cold waters have left her hands and feet a little numb and getting on the bike is quite complicated. Gina Crawford was out of the water first, but now she finds herself in second place and almost half a minute behind Whittle. Transition times can determine a race and can be an indicator about how the day might go. Meredith Kessler is next. She had a 51-minute 45-second swim. She's away in third, while Kate Majors is out in fourth. Luke Bell continues to hold his first place position, but less than a minute and a half behind is Chris MacDonald. Just behind MacDonald is the American Ben Hoffman, who is known by a few to be great on challenging courses. Along with MacDonald and Hoffman is Matt Lieto, who appears to be happy about his swim and current position. In 5th place is Kirill Kotsegorov. He raised eyebrows in Florida and is recognized as a strong contender here. Michael Weiss is out of the water and onto the bike, but he's already down 5 minutes and 46 seconds to Bell. Heather Wertel has extended her lead and is cutting through the hills. While Gina Crawford has seen her bike slowed, the chilly waters and cool morning air could be to blame. Crawford's slow start has opened the door now for Meredith Kessler. Meredith had been a dominant age group competitor. The next obvious move was up to complete professional. She's showing everyone that it was a correct move as she now moves up into 2nd place. Meanwhile, back over the reservoir, the age groupers continue to pour out of the water and try to warm themselves to the 112 bike course ahead. It takes a few extra minutes now to get into their gear. A little help from the volunteers is welcome too, as Transition 1 begins to fill up. One of the athletes making his way through transition is Captain David Haas. He went to the 4th Ironman World Championship last year representing the Navy. This year he's doing it for himself and hopes to improve on an impressive time in Kona. He didn't give himself much time to bask in his accomplishment.
You immediately finish, maybe about 2 days later you start examining your race. And I think all of us are trying to find out how to improve. And so that's what I want to do here in St. George, is improve and then take that into the next season. I want to keep going if my body lets me.
So far he's had lots of success. His approach to a healthy lifestyle is essential to David both professionally and personally. Showing others what is possible has been something he's proud of.
I think because of the exposure Ironman, not only from the recruiting aspect, but I think from the guys that are inside the Navy, I've enabled physical fitness to be an important part of their lives. That's obviously makes sailors better and really kind of achieves a higher combat capacity of whatever unit they're assigned to. Anybody who trains that amount for an endurance race like Kona, believe it or not, although you're putting in a lot of hours, I think you kind of achieve a balance in every part of your life.
Cutting through the city of St. George, the professional men are setting a high tempo. The lead still belongs to Luke Bell, but just behind is Chris MacDonald, Ben Hoffman and Kirill Kotsegorov, and they are slowly reeling him in. The man making up the most time is Michael Weiss. Luke Bell may not be aware of it, but his lead is shrinking. As the two-loop bike course begins to fill up with pros and age groupers alike, the perception of the course is clear. Heather Wertel knows what's at stake and how everyone needs to approach the bike and the run.
It's a hilly ride course, deceivingly so in a lot of ways because it's falls flat in parts of it, and then there's some really steep climbs. And then the run, you have to be careful how you pace throughout the whole thing because the run has just got climbs like you haven't really seen before.
Behind Heather Wertel is San Francisco resident Meredith Kessler. She's holding 2nd place and focused on what's ahead. A small distraction on the bike is a reminder of the unique beauty of this course. just behind Meredith is Kate Major. Major has closed the distance between herself and Kessler. While pre-race favourite Gina Crawford has fallen back to fourth. The age group athletes and everyone competing recognise the exceptional splendour of this course. The views are as captivating as the many challenges that unfold beyond every turn. Age group athlete and naval captain David Haas knows what he needs to do.
This year at St. George, I feel like it's all my pressure. So I want to finish and do well. And try to get there, like 2,499 other athletes.
Qualifying for Kona is one of the reasons many are competing. Personal challenges and goals are often why people participate in Ironman. Corey McKenna is here doing his 5th Ironman. Ford and Ironman have recognised him as someone that challenges himself to help others. It has some people calling him a hero for his contribution to a non-profit organisation that is dear to his heart.
I've tried to figure out what a hero really is defined as, and a hero really is defined as somebody who tackles something that is simply just bigger than they are and succeeds.
A horseback riding organisation to help children in need was dealing with devastating budget cuts. Through his efforts, many more children will have the opportunity in the Ride to Walk programme.
When my niece Allie was born, we found out that she was not supposed to live past at least 1 week, and she defied the odds and lived to 4 years old. As we were growing together in our relationship, I had a goal of becoming the next Rick and Dick Hoyt team. And we wanted to be able to do races together and triathlons together. When she passed away, it was almost as if the dream itself had died momentarily, but I felt that it was an opportunity for me to continue her legacy, to continue her excitement about being able to do the horseback riding program, to be able to go running with her mom, and to continue going through the process of working with Ride to Walk. And so we're doing a memorial run for her. Next year we're going to add a 10K run and then ultimately have a triathlon in her honor, which kind of fulfills the dream of doing what we wanted to do together.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 2010 Ford Ironman St. George in southern Utah. Luke Bell has held the lead for nearly 30 miles now on the bike course. He's been around long enough to recognise, though, he can't maintain an aggressive pace throughout the day if he plans to be in at the kill.
Everyone comes here to try and win. That's the ultimate goal. You step on the start line, competitive edge takes over, and you're out there to try and cross that finish line first. The thing that you're going to have to concentrate most on out there is, because of the course, you're going to have to pace yourself well. It's not a matter of going out hard and early. So I think for myself, it's one of those hard aspects to be patient, be patient, be patient. I'm so used to racing from the gun that I'm going to have to tell myself throughout the day, okay, how do I feel? What do I need? Am I going too hard? Do I need to back it off to get to the finish line first?
It's a very deep field. I think there's truly 6 or 7 guys that if everything clicks on the day, any one of those 6 or 7 could take home the victory, and that doesn't always happen in an Ironman. I mean, there's the obvious contenders like Luke Bell, Michael Wiese, who's an ex-Olympic mountain biker, but there's a lot of people that people aren't talking about. Ben Hoffman from Durango, Colorado. I think he's really somebody to watch. Very, very strong cyclist. I think this course will really suit him.
It's been almost 2 hours now, and Luke Bell finally has some company in the form of Chris MacDonald. MacDonald seems to know his competition well, as Ben Hoffman takes up the challenge and the lead. it's for a brief moment, because another competitor, Clemens Kühnen, has had an interest in setting the pace, and there's only one place for him to do that. While Michael Weiss has been closing in, making up a near 6-minute gap out of transition 1. In the women's field, it's been all Heather Wurtele. It's still early in the bike and anybody can emerge, but for now the race is between second place Meredith Kessler and third place Kate Major. While Gina Crawford hasn't challenged and continues to lose time. For Gina, there is still a lot of road ahead, but she can't give up too much time. At the sharp end, it's Clemens Kühnen for now, while Chris MacDonald decides to take a position back from Ben Hoffman. The dangerous Michael Weiss has closed the gap and now has his sights on the lead. He overtakes his competition like they are standing still. Michael Weiss continues to attack the course. He's opening up a big lead on the bike by using his strength. The hills have been devastating to just about everybody here today. The bike course is seeing a lot of the action. On a tough course, the professional men's field is very competitive and is filled with a large group and only a few 3 places on the podium. Chris MacDonald is here from one of those positions and makes a move. Ben Hoffman is just behind. Luke Bell lost his first place position many miles ago now and finds himself in 5th. Kirill Kotchegarov is making a statement as well and looking good and possibly holding back for the run ahead. Michael Weiss is focused and simply needs to stick to his game plan in order to be successful.
Usually I throw out everything I got on the bike course and just try to survive the run course. But I think if you do that on that bike course, it would kill you. For me, as a strong cyclist, I would try to pace smart. I know exactly how far I can go, how much I can push, and still if I don't go 100% of my abilities, I will be a little bit faster than an average cyclist, and that's what I know. So I have a very clear strategy. It's not that I go and then slow down. I will really pace myself. My goal is to get the Kona slot, which means a top 3 result. So I will go for that and hope that I have enough luck on that day.
Weiss doesn't seem to need much luck, and neither does Canadian Heather Wurtele. She is extending her lead and pulling away from her competition. The hills don't seem to bother Heather as she carves her way through them. A study in motion, Heather is in a world of her own. Well over 10 minutes behind the leader is Meredith Kessler. Kessler and Kate Major have been exchanging positions throughout the bike ride, but they still don't have Wurtele in their sights. They're battling to keep it close and see how the run plays out. Major is the well-rounded triathlete and certainly finds her way up front. Crawford was expected to be a player, but so far hasn't found her legs on the bike. She's almost 20 minutes down now to Heather Wurtele. More to come from the 2010 Ford Ironman. For the professional men's field, it's been Michael Weiss. He's been building a lead over a group of men that includes Ben Hoffman, Chris MacDonald and Clemens Kuhnen. It's Hoffman that recognises that he can't lose much more time to Weiss if he wants to contend for the top spot. He uses the downhill and pushes past MacDonald. Clemens Kuhnen is keeping an eye on this chase group. He doesn't want anyone else to break away. Back in St. George and first into transition 2, it's Michael Weiss. With an overall bike time of 4 hours 43 minutes and a second, this gives him a near 6 minutes lead. Weiss needs a quick transition if he wants to destroy the will of anyone trying to reel him in. 2 minutes 11 seconds through transition, he's out on the run. The group of men trying to reel Weiss in catch a glimpse of him as he is running out of town. There's hope, but a sense of urgency. Next to reach transition 2 is Ben Hoffman, whose ride was almost 10 minutes slower than Weiss's. Chris MacDonald, Kirill Kotsegarov, Clemens Kuhnen are in, and on their heels is Luke Bell. Out of transition in 1 minute 13 seconds, it's still Ben Hoffman in second. Steps behind him is MacDonald. And he's followed by Clemens Kuhnen, who in turn is followed by Luke Bell. And Kirill Kotsegarov behind him. Next up, the K-Swiss run course. Michael Weiss is attacking the hills on the run. While Heather Wurtele pushing the pace and extending a lead over her closest competition on the bike. But there's still a long way to go. Shortly outside of town, the K-Swiss run course enters the Red Cliffs Desert Reserve. Michael Weiss is not known for his run, but he's certainly showing it's not a weakness at this point of the race. He's got a cushion of 6 minutes. Ben Hoffman is still in second, looking for a glimpse of the leader, so he'll know how much time he needs to make up, if he can. Chris MacDonald knows the hardest part of this course still lies ahead.
Everybody's talking about how hard the bike course is, how the wall on the course. I honestly don't think that's the hardest part of the course. Getting through the bike course, the run course, is by far the hardest Ironman run course I've ever done. I've done all the North American races, Australia, New Zealand, all in Asia. There's nothing like the course here in St. George.
Hoffman finally gets to look at Weiss, and unfortunately for him, Weiss still looks pretty good. But this course is tough, and there's a long way to go. Back in transition, more professional men slowly make the move from bike to run. The first women pro, Heather Wurtele, arrives, and there's no idea how far behind her competition is. but she knows she has had a good ride at 5 hours and 20 minutes. On her way out of transition, she hopes to gauge where her competition still is. But it's a long wait for the next woman to arrive in T2 in downtown St. George. Wurtele makes her way out of town and onto this 2-loop run course. Next into transition, side by side, is the Major and Meredith Kessler. They've given up a lot of time to Wurtele, but this is an Ironman and anything can unfold now. Major is out of transition first, but Kessler is right behind and her legs have a little more life in them. Within a few meters, Kessler passes Major and manages now to open up some distance. But there's still a marathon to go. If Kessler is running on adrenaline, it will surely catch up with her soon. Kessler is a newcomer to the professional ranks of Ironman. She's had lots of success in the past, but not like this. She's having a breakout race, but she has to maintain it for another 25 miles.
It's a tough course and it's going to bring the best out in everybody. You know, you've got to be tough to even try and do this course. And the run is exactly the same. You start uphill and it just changes gradient, and then you get along the top of the ridge and you get some good views, but it's still challenging, and then you turn around and come back down and you do it twice. So it's it's a challenging course, but that's what Ironman's about. You've got to be tough to do these things.
Yes, and Kate Major knows what tough is. She's holding on to third. Gina Crawford is down almost 25 minutes. Something dramatic would have to happen ahead of her now. And she'll have to find her run legs pretty quickly. At this point, she can only hope for the top 3, but she's still down 7 minutes on third place. Catch Wurtele? It's unlikely. The Ford Ironman St. George Marathon is well underway for both the professional men and the women. Mike Weiss has been using this course as his personal playground, but there's nobody to play with. He's all alone. Ben Hoffman has put some distance between himself and third and fourth places. And at the moment, it's Chris MacDonald and Luke Bell who occupy those. Ben Hoffman hits the turnaround and heads back towards town, but still over 7 minutes behind the leader. Heather Wurtele has not had anyone challenge her since the swim. She took the lead in transition 1 and hasn't looked back since. Meredith Kessler is having a run of her life, while Kate Major is beginning to lose ground. The beauty and challenge of this inaugural course is becoming evident as more athletes hit the run course. The Ford Ironman St. George is developing a reputation as one of the hardest Ironman courses out there. It has to be said that most of the drama in the professional men's race is the battle for 5th place between Kiri Kuchigerov and Clemens Kernan. Luke Bell is slowly falling behind Chris MacDonald, who isn't giving up his 3rd place position. Ben Hoffman is going about his business, racing his race. He's not gaining on Weiss, but MacDonald. As Michael Weiss makes his way back into town to start his second half of his marathon, he's been averaging 6 minutes and 30 seconds a mile to open his lead over the chasing men. Luke Bell has been steadily falling from the start and drops another position here, while Kiri Kutsegorov seems to have found some energy. He's moved up to 4th. Ben Hoffman reaches the halfway point, averaging 6:45 a mile. That's not enough to catch Weiss. MacDonald is just a minute and a half behind. He'll need to dig deep if he wants second. The bike course begins to empty and the run course fills up with the 2100 age groupers that started the day. The morning chill is gone and the day slowly rising now to a near perfect temperature. Heather Wertel seems to have put it all together now. Her run splits have slowed, but the lead she built on the bike appears to be enough to hold her current position. She has a clear path. 13.1 miles to go. Meredith Kessler's put time into Wertel's lead, but is too far behind to catch the Canadian. Kate Majors challenged for second place, but that seems over now. The day is not hers. The factors added up and took a toll on her. Kate Major listened to her body when it told her not to push through. The day is done.
This patient, number 47, number 47.
As a precautionary measure, Kate accepts the assistance of the paramedics. With Kate Major withdrawing from the race, it opens the doors for phenomenal runner Kathleen Snow, who has made up enough time now to put herself into 3rd overall in the women's field. But that's hardly enough to catch Meredith or Heather. She's almost 20 minutes behind Kessler and 30 behind Wertel, who has dominated the field today. The 2010 Ford Ironman St. George, Utah will conclude after this. The Ford Ironman St. George, Utah has been a beautiful venue for this amazing event. Michael Weiss was well behind in the swim, but now sees himself comfortably in the lead. Ben Hoffman finds this phenomenal race out of reach now, but still pushes on. Chris MacDonald has been challenged for 3rd most of the way. He came here to win, but knows you need an almost perfect race to make that happen. 3rd appears to be his. Kiri Kutsegorov should hold on to 4th, with Clemens Koonen falling 2 minutes behind and Luke Bell withdrawing. Weiss put it all together today. The day is his. And Ben Hoffman will share the podium. MacDonald is in a comfortable position, but still nobody in the professional men's field able to put any pressure on Michael Weiss. And Michael Weiss claims the title of the 2010 Ford Ironman St. George champion. Ben Hoffman is rewarded with a quality 2nd place and hopefully long career ahead of him. McDonald's happy with third, and so is Kirill Kutsigarov in fourth. And Clemens Kuhnen, who came home in fifth. The 2010 Ford Ironman St. George, Utah men's final standings. Austrian Michael Weiss in 8 hours 40 minutes and 8 seconds has won. The American Ben Hoffman 8 hours 52.54. The Australian Chris MacDonald 8 hours 52.42. The Estonian Kirill Kutsigarov in fourth, and the German Clemens Kuhnen in fifth. Heather Vertel put it all together again today. Little challenge cave my field that started the day with several potential suitors for the title. However, it's Heather Vertel who prevails, untouched since X-Team Transit 1. She's greeted with a hug from fellow professional triathlete and husband, Trevor. 11 minutes 28 seconds behind is a jubilant Meredith Kessler. Kathleen Snow from the City of Champions, Brockton, Massachusetts, takes third and also gets a hug from her husband. Gina Crawford didn't have the day many expected, but she gutted it out for fourth. The 2010 Ford Ironman St. George, Utah, the women's final standings. Heather Wertel takes the title with a winning time of 9:35.25. Kessler claims second. Kathleen Snow ran a 3:10 marathon for third. Crawford was fourth. Kathleen Paradis finished in fifth. The race doesn't end after the professionals finish their day. The race continues until midnight, 17 hours after the start. Corey McKenna lives his life with discipline and focus. For him, each step is an accomplishment in the bigger picture.
I definitely use the Ironman motto of anything is possible, because anything is possible. I also see that there are no excuses in life. Putting one foot in front of the other is the best way to get from point A to point B. And if it's big, gigantic steps, great. If it's baby steps, so be it.
Corey has taken giant steps towards making other people live a little bit better. Many people will be a bit better too because of the commitment to a task and his ability to follow it through. While for Naval Captain David Hart, it's been a learning experience. His goal to make it to Kona didn't happen, but that's not to say he didn't learn something along the way either. Cheered on by his son Christopher, David will surely remember the last few steps of this race. As the sun sets, the remaining athletes on the course enjoy an amazing view. The scenery, the city, and everyone that participated and supported this event should be very proud. David Haas didn't achieve his ultimate goal here, but every experience can be viewed as a step in the right direction. With the sun setting, the finish line lights up with the smiles of young and old alike. Finishing a long-time goal is something special. The release of energy in the last few stages is pure joy, and something only those that walk in these shoes will ever feel. Sometimes there's a greater purpose to the journey. For Corey McKenna, he is just beginning to show people what's possible. Many people who find themselves walking and jogging as the sun sets and the moon rises, as the day turns into night, they often have deeper reason for being here. It can be physical, mental, and sometimes a healing process. St. George resident Brian Bergener has his reason.
I'm doing Ironman to honor my son who passed away 5 years ago. My wife and I were in the backyard doing some landscaping, and you get that call. And on the other end is, your son's missing, we can't find him. Where we live here in St. George, the lake is about a half-an-hour drive away. Every thought, every worst thought is going through your mind, and that worst thought was brought to life. And he passed away that day. He drowned over at Sand Hollow Reservoir, at that very place where we start our Ironman. After that, my wife and I went into a deep depression. you've got to do something and do it fast. And that's when I got back active, and which brought me down to this road, and here I am today, ready to compete in my first full-distance Ironman. It wasn't until I got physically active again that I felt alive for the first time in almost 2 years. I knew what it felt like, but had forgotten what it was. But when I started back on that bicycle and started feeling the energy that you can get from being physically active, the pain's still there, but it's replaced with something else, with a sense of pride, a sense of satisfaction. And every training run, every time I get in that pool, every time I get on the bike, it's dedicated to my son. It has literally saved my life. I owe this sport my life. If it wasn't for it, I wouldn't be here today.
Brian likely has deep-rooted reason for doing this race, although it will never heal the wounds. There is hope, though, that in some small way it can help someone else. Ultimately, sharing the experience with others is a way of healing.
If I can just get one person to see what I've gone through, to battle depression, to overcome where my son passed away, to be able to swim in those waters and overcome all that adversity, lose 70 pounds in the process, and become a competitive triathlete in my mid-40s. If I can inspire one person to get off their couch, overcome depression, quit smoking, I don't care what it is, lose that 10 pounds, 40 pounds, I don't care what it is. If I can inspire one person, just one, then I've paid it forward, and maybe they can do the same thing.
We salute everyone who made the finishing line in St. George today. I'm Phil Liggett saying so long for now.